everybody. It's Fink here, and I'm here with my buddy Swish84. And today we're going to talk about some of the new and upcoming games, Microsoft price drop on digital games, and polarizing between companies. Now, Swish, I know we want to talk about some of the new and upcoming games, and first of all, I wanted to talk about Tomb Raider. I know that some gaming companies or gaming, there you go,
Retailers, yeah.
were making the street date or taking off the street date so that you can buy them today.
Yeah. Well, originally, the PS4 edition, Xbox One edition of the new definitive Tomb Raider was going to be the 28th. So that's next Tuesday. And they decided last second, I guess, to go ahead and lift that street date. So a lot of people were able to go to their local retailers or GameStops or Best Buys, Walmart, whatever, and pick that up today. So it's kind of nice, having a brand new game to play, take home for the weekend.
Yeah. Personally, myself, I haven't played a Tomb Raider game in forever since the polygon pixelated, double Ds that Laura Croft had way back when. But I did notice, I can't really speculate. I mean, you would have to be the one to tell me what is the difference between this new HD version compared to the original version for the 360 or the PS3.
Well, the original Tomb Raider, I mean, in the terms of the reboot, Tomb Raider came out last spring. It was nominated for a Game of the Year. Got really high marks. The sales weren't exactly what Square Enix had hoped for initially, but it was one of those games that further we got into the later part of the year, it started picking up. It just picked up momentum and people were playing it. I personally think a lot of it was due to the fact that sales could have been better right off the bat if you had been promised, if we were promised single player DLC, if people were going to get some extra storyline once they finished the campaign. But because of the pressure to conform to casual gaming society, they decided to put some of that time and energy into their multiplayer, which was definitely lackluster to say the least. I mean, it didn't get very great reviews. It wasn't what people were trying to really focus on in that game, and at least not for me. I mean, I picked it up to play the single player. I mean, I played the PlayStation 1 Tomb Raiders, back in the 90s. I loved them. They were great, some of the classics. But, later into early 2000s, I mean, even the 360s and PS3s, some of the games that came out on there just started kind of losing steam, and it was getting really played out and losing a lot of the quality that the games had originally started on back in the PlayStation 1 days. And so when I heard about the new updated Tomb Raider that Crystal Dynamics was working on, that was exciting because here we got a completely new take on a more relatable character. This is somebody that you can see the pain that she's going through. You can actually feel that through the gameplay, and that was cool. I enjoyed the game that much more because she wasn't just like some double D having machine goddess that was going around just completely raping everybody, and that made the gameplay better, made the story better in my opinion. And then now with the new definitive edition, it just basically they took it all up a notch. I mean, which I think is really cool because the game's not that old. It's still in people's short-term memory. It's still relevant. It's only been less than a year that it came out on 360 and PS3, so people are still interested. And a lot of people, including myself, wanted to go back and do a second playthrough anyway. And now having this was a really great excuse to do that.
How do you think of, based on graphics from the original to this reboot for the PS4 and Xbox One?
I saw a difference right off the bat. You've got, I've got it for the PS4, so my opinion was there was a big difference. Obviously the cutscenes are still pre-rendered. Those are pre-renderings, and those are pretty close to being how they were in the 360 and PS3. But the actual gameplay, I've noticed a significant difference. I mean, you see it with her characteristics, the lighting, her hair looks more realistic. The way that the elements affect whatever current situation she's in at that moment. So like if she's traveling through mud or she's traveling through water, whatever, you actually see that reflect on her person. It's really cool to see like the sweat, dripping down and stuff like that. These are just things that, the last consoles were not capable of doing. And, I suppose not everybody would really care, about those things, but I think it's nice, especially, when I wanted to do a second playthrough anyway. It's just nice to have a next gen system, and having that speaker on the PS4 controller is just badass. I mean, that's to have it come through, with the audio logs right through your speaker on your PS4, controller, the DualShock 4. I think that's really cool. It is doesn't really use a whole lot as far as the way of touch, screen, but other than that, I think that it definitely is a graphical advantage.
Yeah. And I was watching him play a little bit. From what I've seen, from remembering it back in the day when I was playing it, to seeing you play tonight, it's just a complete overhaul and change. And of course, then again, it's been fucking 10 years.
Oh yeah.
And well, let's move on to Final Fantasy Lightning Returns. I know that they had the demo out for the 360 and PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the game's not out yet, so based on the demo, did it feel like all the other Final Fantasy games that you had played before, or did it have a new feeling as you played?
The thing is, like, I had kind of a hiatus as far as Final Fantasy went. I'm a product of the middle 80s, so when, it came out, the PlayStation 1 came out and Final Fantasy 7 was on that, I was like, 10, 11 years old. It was right at that time where, I was really kind of, getting into games that were very story driven, like Metal Gear Solid had come out, that, Silent Hill, Resident Evil. I mean, some of the original classic games of that generation, that whole decade. And I remember playing Final Fantasy VII as a kid and just being mesmerized by it. I loved it, playing. And I don't know, like, a lot of people always had different opinions. They like turn-based, they don't like turn-based. They're a fan of JRPGs or not a fan of JRPGs. I mean, it can go so many ways. It's a lot of different opinions. But the hiatus that I took from it was I had heard, a lot of different things. And I don't know, I kind of lost interest in it altogether. But now kind of, getting back to the reconciliation of me playing on Sony systems, it's piqued my interest a lot more. And I don't know what happened exactly, but the 360 Microsoft put it out on the Xbox Live dashboard for download. I downloaded it, played it. I think I told you, like, man, you should check it out. And then all of a sudden it was gone. Like, it disappeared.
Yeah, by the time I checked it out, it was fucking gone. And I thought, oh my god, man, did they already take it off?
Well, and the first thing I thought was, like, that was, like, a mistake on their part or something. And, cool for me, I got to play it. But as since then, subsequently, they've put it back onto the marketplace, for download. It's on PS3 now. My impression was I liked it. It felt like a good hybrid between turn-based and real-time. I mean, like, real-time action where you aren't just standing by the wayside watching something happen, like some of the older ones, but you also, it doesn't feel like a casual, hack and slash or a casual action adventure game that we've seen, the gaming industry get inundated with in the last 10 years. It felt kind of like its own thing. And I liked it so far just from the demo. I plan on picking it up.
I know that I am one of the very few people who can say that they played Final Fantasy IX and actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I loved that game. And like I said, I haven't played Final Fantasy in forever as well. Final Fantasy IX was the last one I played. And that's because I went to Microsoft. I went to Xbox, and I just started playing Xbox all the time.
Right.
Right. And I never stuck with PlayStation as much.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I mean, it was a Sony exclusive for so long, and to me that was kind of an advantage for like guys like us. We were Microsoft guys. We not out of like fanboyism, but just because Halo brought us to Microsoft and kind of kept us there, and we were content with that, and kind of had like a break from between the PS2 and the PS4, and then just recently getting back into Sony and having a multi-plat gaming experience. I think it served the franchise well to be available on both platforms, it was a sacrifice on Sony's part to lose that exclusive, but I know that as far as exclusivity goes, I think. I mean, what is the 10 and 10-2 going to be on? That's going to be Vita, right?
Yeah, Vita. It's going to be on Vita.
Yeah, exactly. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, simply because that hiatus that I had, I missed out on those, and I'm looking, all the positive and negative things I've heard about, actually very few positive things I've heard about 10-2, but as far as those games go, I'm looking forward to playing those on the Vita. I think those are going to be awesome.
Well, I mean, like staying on the subject of Microsoft, Larry Herb had posted earlier that he had been listening to all the cries out of people of why the digital games on the systems were so much higher than people were retailing them for in stores.
Right.
And he had some news saying that they were going to try to drop the price on the digital games, and would we buy them if they were dropped?
Right.
I mean, personally, if I found a game that was digital and I liked it and I seen that it was $10 in the store, but you're still going to make me pay $30 on the digital content like most are, I wouldn't do it.
I mean, the logic of a convenience fee is so antiquated. It's just not relevant anymore. I mean, to sit there and say, oh, well, we get to price gouge you on this 5-year-old game because you get to download it from the luxury of your home instead of getting in your car, driving to the nearest retailer and buying it. That's just bad business. In this market, it's bad business. And I think they're probably seeing the pressure build on them from the absolute just amazingness of PlayStation Plus and how far that system's come, that subscription, with the free games and just being $10 cheaper per year. I mean, there's rumors of that going, changing. Whether it, I mean, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine on the phone yesterday. Even if it goes up to $10, where it's $60, it's still worth more, in my opinion, than a gold subscription, just because of how much you get.
Well, and I know this by personal experience because I ended up getting rid of my 360 there for a little bit, and I picked up the PS4 500 gig Super Slim, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and go for the PlayStation Plus and everything. I had more games free from the PlayStation Plus between my Vita and the PS3 than I did on my 360 alone, and they were all free games. I pretty much got my whole collection back. And that's the one thing that Microsoft, I think, is starting to see. The fact that as soon as they launched their campaign for PlayStation Now, being able to hit up all those games for another nominal subscription fee, no matter how much it is, the fact that you will have way more playability on the PlayStation Now, I figure if they drop some of the digital games, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get people to pay on their services. They're trying to make them more attractive.
Yeah. Well, and they should. I mean, if they want to, the whole point of that is them trying to control their market. But if they're going to try to control their market, whether it's accessories or whether it's, video games, it doesn't really matter. They've got to offer things at a competitive price. They cannot price gouge out of convenience or anything like that. It's got to be competitive, especially when Sony's giving away free games. I mean, porting PC titles. I mean, the fact that Outlast is coming out for free next month. I mean, that's extremely exciting. The fact that we've been playing Don't Starve.
Oh my God, yeah, Don't Starve, especially being on Steam and being just straight a PC game. I know that between Steam and the PC, it had its problems on the game because people don't like, they either like survival games or they don't.
Right.
And that's the thing, though, is that is just a hardcore survival. You have to do everything to survive on the game. You lose everything if you die.
Yeah.
And for it porting over to the PS4 made it such a great experience.
It made it tangible. I mean, it made it tangible for people that might not have invested into, a PC that can run Steam games. I mean, it made it tangible for me. It runs great on your laptop. I've seen that in action. That's awesome. But not everybody has that luxury. They've already committed to the PS4. They've already committed to whatever. And I think that the fact that they're understanding the environment that is being greatly affected by Steam and what Steam has to offer. Microsoft, I think, has the potential, and maybe with this price drop, which I think is a good move on their part. I think maybe they're finally starting to see They might have to change some of their policies. They're gonna have to get more competitive. I think Sony realizes the power and the influence Steam has over the market. I mean, it's if you're a serious, hardcore gamer these days, it's almost inevitable that you've got Steam installed on laptop or your PC or whatever, and you're playing some game. I mean, I installed Steam just so I could play Gone Home. Gone Home was, rated one of the top games of last year. I mean, it was Adam Sussler's, game of the year. He got a lot of slack for that, but I absolutely agree with him 100%. That was a truly unique experience, and Sony's learning from that. I really think they are.
And that's one thing, though, is like, for being a free program you can download for Steam, there was so much free Steam games to begin with.
And the Steam sales. I mean, come on.
Do you know that they ended up getting
the backlog created by Steam sales, man.
They got Left 4 Dead for free during their Christmas sales. And a whole bunch of people bought that or got it for free.
Right.
And we were still some of the retail shops were still selling for $20.
And that's cool, for people that don't have an Xbox, because that's, a Microsoft exclusive, and that's something that people may have wanted to play, but they've always had a PS3, so boom, they're getting it for free on Steam now.
Yep, and that's mainly, it's so hard to, like you said, a hardcore gamer nowadays, you can either be a fanboy or you can actually be a generic gamer, the one that will play a game regardless.
Right.
Play no matter what system they're on, and they play to have fun, and they don't bitch about, hey, this is better, that is better. Because you know what? I admit, I'm the first one to fucking admit that, yes, I played Microsoft, and you know what? At a good standpoint, a couple of years ago, before I started, veering off, I fucking thought Microsoft was fucking titties. I thought it was the greatest freaking system. They had the greatest system. I was just playing on it, and I fucking loved it. People whoever argued with me, I'd argue about it all fucking day.
Yeah. Well, it always go back to the competitiveness between the online experience, because for so long Microsoft had that advantage. They had that competitive edge as far as multiplayer games. I mean, the PlayStation, it took them a while longer to get their multiplayer and online experience to what, Xbox had already done. And now that they've come to that point and they're even starting to surpass it as far as the subscription goes, I think Microsoft is realizing, hey, we don't have that competitive edge anymore, so we're going to find other ways, and that's great. I hope that Microsoft does learn from that as well, because it serves the gaming industry. I don't want to see either company, or Nintendo even, I don't want to see any of those companies doing bad, because it brings down the industry as a whole. So I really hope Nintendo figures it out with their struggling Wii U. I know they're being carried by the 3DS, right now. And
the 3DS beat everybody in sales.
Yeah, total sales. Yeah, absolutely. And, that's good. I mean, I'm glad they're still being kept, afloat by that. I mean, granted, Nintendo's got squillions of dollars they can still live off of, but I want them to still be a third-party viable option, because the competition drives innovation. And when you have companies that are neck and neck and competing for your consumer dollar, that's good for the industry as a whole. I mean, it affects everybody in a positive way, because we have more options. Companies are fighting harder, pushing the boundaries of technology and access so that they can get our dollar. And that's good, because, in a free market society, that's beneficial, pretty much for everybody, for them, for the consumer. And, you don't want to have a monopoly situation where one company controls the market, and everybody else kind of falls by the wayside. I mean, that'd be no fun.
Yeah, it wouldn't. And, and going to that, I mean, always having the stuff just for fun. I mean, and yeah, you're right. Microsoft did have that multiplayer edge. In the beginning, I was playing PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation, playing Medal of Honor. Playing Medal of Honor and everything, and it's always about everybody's preference. I just like to be neutral.
That's my thing. Like, I just want to play good games. You know what I mean? Like, make good games and I will buy them. Like, make enough good games and I'll buy your system. It's nowadays, if you're a serious gamer, like, you really look at this like it's a passion, it's something you enjoy doing, you invest your money into it, you're probably gonna buy more than one system, and I think that that's beneficial. I learned a lot from only being with one system for so long. I learned that that's not the way to be. I missed out on a lot of exclusives, and I know personally I won't let that happen again. And so I think that this polarization between, Sony or Microsoft, or the people that are still Nintendo on Nintendo's boat, like that's I don't understand that logic. You know what I mean? Like, you can sit here and you can argue system specs all day. You can argue exclusives and subscription bonuses and all that. Like, yes, they all have pros and cons, but they're still all fighting for the gaming industry to do it justice. And I think that that's important. Especially for us as gamers.
Yep. And you know what, guys? We're going to leave it at that. I know we'll end up getting back together, and we'll keep doing some more of this cross back and forth, because that's the thing, though, is that's one thing I would like to bring, is the fact that we have to keep, for the actual gamers that are still neutral and that are in it for fun, because I know there's so many people that are saying this and that, to go to this, to go play that, this is how it should be done, this is what should be played. And it's good to stay here and hear from us that a neutral opinion about things and everything. Like I said, thanks for chilling around with me. We'll go ahead and get back together and do some more. But you guys, I don't know. I don't have an outro, so I'll go ahead and see you guys later.
Peace.